May 27, 2025. The clerk will record the official time. We'll all rise for a pledge of allegiance, followed by a short invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, right now, we just want to pause and say thank you for allowing us to come here to the village of Woodlawn to do what is best for the village of Woodlawn. Lord, we ask that you just give a shed of protection against all of the homes, residents here in the village of Woodlawn. We ask that you bless our children in the summertime as they are safely here in the community. Lord, we ask these blessings in thy son Jesus' name before his sake. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Poole,
Present.
Esther Boyd,
Present.
Rosemary Brown, Cindy Chandler,
Present.
Pamela Fitzgerald,
Present.
Robert Lawson,
Present.
Michelle Starr.
Present.
All right. I need a motion to approve the regular council meeting from April 29, 2025, with any corrections, deletions, or additions to the minutes in front of us tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the regular council meeting from last month, April 29th, 2025.
There's a second on the motion.
Second.
Motion been moved and properly second. All ayes.
Aye.
Very well. I need a motion to amend the agenda tonight to allow our auditor, our state auditor, to come before us tonight, Ms. Jessica Miranda. Clerk, did Ms. Myers sign up tonight?
Yes.
Okay, all right. No?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, all right. Again, I need a motion to approve to amend the agenda to allow the auditor, Jessica Miranda, for her short presentation tonight in the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda for tonight.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and properly second. All ayes.
Aye.
Very well. Ms. Miranda.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so very much for having me, and I would like the record to reflect that this might be the best-dressed council
Well,
in
thank you.
Southwest Ohio.
Thank you.
So, thank you all, my fellow public servants.
Thank
I am
you.
very, very happy to be here. I have with me today two very important people from the auditor's staff. This is my Director of Public Affairs, Connor Morton, and Willow Lopez, my Community Engagement Coordinator. You might wonder why I'm introducing them. It's because these positions never existed before in the history of the Hamilton County Auditor's Office. So we are taking it very, very seriously, getting out to the community and letting the community know what your auditor's office does for you, and maybe a little bit of what it does not do for you. Or what we don't necessarily do, to kind of correct some of that misinformation or disinformation that has come in the past couple of years. My name is Jessica Miranda. I'm county auditor, not state auditor yet, but
sorry.
thank you, Mayor, for speaking that into
All
existence.
right, we put it into existence,
Who
absolutely.
knows where this
I
road
apologize
will
for
take us.
that. No problem.
But I'm very happy to be here. Real quickly about myself, I've been in this position as your Hamilton County Auditor for a little over a year now. I came to this position via appointment when we lost my dear friend and our previous
Our
Hamilton
dear
County
friend,
Auditor, Bridget Kelly.
Yes.
So thank you to all of you who came out to the naming of the Bridget Kelly Norwood lateral.
Yes.
It was great seeing you there.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I'm very, very proud and honored to be here. 5.5 years prior to this role, I was serving as your whip in the Ohio State House, which was a journey, let me tell you, and I know you all know what it's like, trying to get the vital resources that our communities need from our state. So that has given me a broad understanding of not only the biennium state budget, but of fair school funding, our school funding dilemma, I will call it, here in the state of Ohio, as well as the threat on local government funding and what you all have had to endure since 2013. And I'll speak about that a little bit later in my presentation. But I'm a lifelong Ohioan. My husband and I are raising our 3 beautiful girls and running one of our businesses in the fine city of Forest Park, just a little north of here, which is our second largest city actually in our county.
Yes.
So very, very proud to be from there. All right, we'll go to the next slide, Woodlow. So I just want to kind of level the understanding here of the responsibilities of your county auditor's office. So think of your county auditor as the CFO of the county, if you will. We are the chief financial officer for all of the dollars that go in and out of the county. We are also the real property assessor. We are statutorily obligated every 3 and 6 years to assess all property, industrial, commercial, and personal, to fair market value here in the state of Ohio. That's the law we have to follow in that manner. We also run the County Board of Revision process. We're 1/3 of that tripod. Same with the County Budget Commission. We're 1/3 of that tripod administration. And we run 3 specific state programs: the rental registration program, the homestead exemption program, and the owner occupancy credit program. 3 programs statutorily created by the state for the auditor to be in control of, administer, and keep a database so that villages like yours can pull up any parcel on our website in the village or across the county, and you can see if they're getting either of those 3 programs, or if it's a rental property, which I know is a hot topic right now for local municipalities. Fun fact, we are also the dog licensing arm of county government. We also do weights and measures, which I refer to our weights and measures department as our consumer protection agency, if you will. So if you go and pump gas, you'll notice we have sealed that gas pump. My name will be on your gas pump. If you go to the grocery store and you're buying deli meats or cheeses, my seal is also on that weight and measure to make sure that you are actually getting the gallon of gas that you're purchasing, or the pound of turkey or pound of Munster cheese that you're putting on your sandwiches for lunch. So very, very cool part of our responsibilities as your county auditor. But I always like to joke and say we do many, many more things than what you see here on this list. I feel like back in the 1800s when they were creating county government offices, they had a bunch of miscellaneous things and they said just give it to the auditor. And so the auditor does a bunch of things that are not even listed here on this board. Next slide. Okay, so we serve the community, but we don't do it all. We do not collect your property taxes. That is the county treasurer, Jill Schiller. We do not manage deeds. That is your county recorder, Scott Crawley. We do not provide surveys or maps. That's your county engineer, Eric Beck. And we certainly do not make abatement policy. That is you all and the state lawmakers that control the local tax policy here in your village or your city, township, and state government. And another thing we like to talk about a lot is how we work in values, being that we are the real property assessor of the county. The auditor's office does not have the authority to outright lower your property taxes, or your tax liability, I should say. Tax policy is set by the state and our locally elected officials. So property value is, of course, a part of the formula when we calculate property taxes, but it is not the only variable. For example, if your property value goes up or down 5%, it does not mean that your taxes go up or down 5%. It, of course, is all dependent upon your local voted levies, which is the biggest thing that impacts your local property taxes. And then there's a fun thing that the state budget did not take into consideration this time around when passed out of the House, which is the Fair School Funding Plan. They did not follow through on our promise and do the 3rd phase of the Fair School Funding Plan, so that creates a litany of other problems for school funding and how property taxes are created. Slide. I love to bring this comparison slide, as you can see there in your presentation and on the screen. This is our 3-area comparison for political subdivisions within the county. What we're trying to point out here is that a parcel's value could be virtually the same in 3 different areas of the county, and their tax liability via their property taxes can be completely different, right? So you can see this is a parcel located in the city of Cincinnati, and these are real parcels, by the way. A parcel located in Green Township, and a parcel located in the city of Sharonville. The value of these 3 parcels are virtually the same, a little over $236,000. But because of how that tax breaks down in their respective municipality, generates different amounts for which they pay for their property taxes. So as you can see, A parcel valued at $236,000 and some change is paying a little over $5,000 in the city of Cincinnati for their property taxes. However, out in Green Township, they're paying about $1,000 less than that. And then out in the city of Sharonville, they're paying about $2,000 less than that. So, yes.
Can you repeat the why again?
The why is because of the different voted levies in those specific
okay.
jurisdictions,
Okay.
combined with their state tax rate given to them by the state of Ohio.
Okay.
So, as you all know, as elected officials here in the village of Woodlawn, you have 4 different levies essentially that you can choose to run in your county or your village for various things. There's also something called unvoted levy, right? Non-voted levies. Decisions that elected officials make that make up the tax rate of their respective village, township, or city. So, although you could have the same valued property in Green Township that you have in the city of Cincinnati, your actual tax liability is going to be completely different, meaning it is not a one-size-fits-all equation for anyone in our county. Next slide, Ripple, thank you. And back to what I said at the top of the conversation, we are your real property assessor, and we do this twice during a 6-year cycle. We do a every 3-year kind of desktop review, which is called our triennial review of all real property in your county. It's basically just based on comparable real estate sales in your area. And then every 6 years, we have to complete what's called the mass reappraisal of all real property in our county. And by the way, we have a little over 350,000 parcels in our county. We are the third largest county in the state of Ohio. And we do that mass appraisal every 6 years. Our last mass appraisal was in 2023. Those taxes are payable in 2024. Our triennial update is coming up right around the corner in 2026. And then our next mass reappraisal won't be until 2029. So we wanted to give you those important dates there so that you know there's always a cycle going on. It's just dependent upon whether it's the triennial, the mass reappraisal, or our annual changes.
Can reappraisals be requested? Because 6 years is a long time
They-
if you're experiencing high taxes.
Well, we are making changes every year. So although the state says we have to do this every 3 and 6 years, every year there's new construction and permitting happening all over the county. So we are looking at properties all year, every year.
Okay.
All right, now we're going to move into the website tools. I know that most of you are probably very familiar with your Hamilton County Auditor's website. It does look a little different now. We have done some significant upgrades to our website, and there is more to come. So we welcome your feedback anytime you would like to give it to us. We have redone, if you will, the Board of Revision website portion of our website. We have, you can't see it here, but we now have a 3 to 4 video series of what the Board of Revision is for taxpayers in the county to take a look at. If they want to file a Board of Revision complaint, those 3 videos will guide them through how to do that, as well as where they can find all of the information in the forms and applications on this portion of our website. I would like to point out too that we now have this nice feature on this page that kindly asks everyone if they've read all of the directions first before they turn something in. It's a little pop-up window that comes up, which we in the auditor's office personally love because that's the feedback we get a lot is people will say, no one told me that the process is like this. No one told me how to do this. Okay, well, this website does. And if you would just take a few minutes to read it, it is actually a lot of valuable information. Next slide, Willow. And then, of course, we have the property search function of our website. All of those 350,000 parcels that are located in our county, they are all on the website. So you can pull up any address in any part of the county and see all of this basic information. We have been told, and I have seen this in real time now in my short year of being here, that our website is truly the gold standard as compared to the 87 other counties across our state. It truly is. You can find the most information. You can look at pictures of properties back to the history of when the property card was created back in the 1800s. So we have it all, and we've done a really, really good job of trying to keep this transparent and open and accountable to the people of Hamilton County. Next slide. And then, of course, my favorite part of the website is on that property search function on any parcel in the county, you can pull up the tax detail page, and we have a beautiful pie graph here for you that breaks down where every penny of your property tax money goes, and then breaks it down in this beautiful colorful pie graph here. And as you can see, you can pull up any parcel across the county. The biggest thing that folks are paying for is for their local school district. There is a reason for that. It is because school funding has been deemed unconstitutional here in the state of Ohio since about 1984, and our state lawmakers have not taken that seriously or done anything to fix that. So the burden of our property taxes is on us, the property owners, for schools, whereas it should be the burden of the state budget. So that'll always be your largest piece of the pie graph. All right, and then last thing on website tools, we are the statutorily obligated arm of government to keep record of which properties are rentals in the county. So you can go here, if you know of someone who's renting a property and maybe they don't have it properly registered, or you as a council find a property that is being rented and it's not properly registered, our rental registration forms are located on our website, just like every form is located on our website. And Will, if you'll click over to the next one. Are you obligated to file a rental registration form? Yes, it is the law here in the state of Ohio, and your county auditor is the person for which you should be turning that into. Now, we are seeing a lot lately that local villages, cities, and townships are creating their own rental registration form so that they can keep better track of what the rental properties are in their respective municipalities. But rest assured, we are doing that as well. It is, completely based upon whether or not they file with us, right? We don't really have a enforcement arm of the auditor's office where we can go out and knock on folks' doors and see whether or not it's a rental. But if you go to the property search function that we spoke about before, it will have a line on the property summary page that will let you know whether or not it's a rental property. So there was a press release I sent out a couple months ago. I think it was last summertime. We were getting a lot of calls in the auditor's office for folks who thought they were renting a property and put down a big down payment for a property, to find out that that person had nothing to do with that property and it was a rental scammer. So if you ever see any of that happening in the village of Woodlawn, please contact our office. We do have a fee that is associated. We can fee someone. It's $150. Small fee, I know, but it's better than nothing if we do find out that there has been a property that was a rental property and they weren't properly registered with the auditor's office. Okay. I think I'm done with this. Okay, and so I'm going to try to make this as quick as I possibly can, and please stop me if you have questions, but the homestead exemption is something that is very, very top of mind to us in the auditor's office. Should be to all of our state lawmakers as well as all of our local elected officials. I need your help, basically, is what I'm saying. Our homestead exemption has lost its luster here in Ohio. It used to be worth something when someone 65 or older could apply for the homestead exemption and get a nice little chunk of their property taxes relieved. Nowadays, the homestead exemption has now a income limit on it. So it's reaching far less people than it was before, thanks to a change our state lawmakers and our then governor at the time, Governor Kasich, made. And it does not give the bang for the buck that it used to give to a homeowner nowadays, because this exemption credit has not been indexed for inflation. So we need your help to lobby your state lawmakers and your state senators, so your state reps, state senators, to do something to make the homestead better, because quite frankly, I don't want to speak for all of the other 87 auditors in the state, but initiating, running, administering this program and having to collect all of the data we need to collect to see if folks match that income limit, it's just a credit that is quite frankly embarrassing to give anymore from the auditor's standpoint. It does not give the kind of relief that it used to give when this program was first created. Yes, ma'am.
So give me an example. So age is no longer,
The only qualifier? Yes, it now has an income limit on it.
Correct.
So age and income.
Yes. So you have to be 65 or older
Uh-huh.
and make less than, it's 38,600 now. The 2023 modified adjusted gross income.
Wow.
Is that
Yeah.
single or
So-
married, or does that matter? Is that a household, total household?
It can be single or a household, yes.
Single or household?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, as you can see, that is not a lot of money. And the folks that were grandfathered into the program when the state law was changed, unfortunately, aren't getting bang for their buck anymore either. So, if you have a lobbyist or someone that works on behalf of the village of Woodlawn that goes up to Columbus and tells our state lawmakers what we need, the homestead exemption is something we really, truly need to be able to provide some kind of relief to people on their property taxes. Yes.
So why, do you know why that 38.6 number, where, do you know why that number?
The magic of those we choose to elect and serve us
Okay,
in the State House.
all right. never mind.
And Will, you can go ahead and go to that next slide. I have a couple different slides on this. So some common asked questions. Will I still pay property taxes with the homestead? Yes, but the taxes will be reduced. The problem now is that reduction is no longer getting the bang for the buck prior to these changes 10 years ago. And then go ahead to the next one, we'll show the timeline. So back in 1970, Ohio voters approved the creation of this exemption. That was a great, great time. Folks were given a nice little chunk of relief on their property taxes. 2007, Governor Strickland removed those income restrictions for the exemption, which it massively expanded its reach. So to give you some numbers, and these aren't exact, these are just some estimations. Here in Hamilton County, we had something like, is it 9,000 folks that were benefiting from the homestead exemption pre-2007, or 2013, excuse me. And then when Governor Kasich came along and reinstated those income guidelines, it went down to like 1,200, 1,400 folks that are now benefiting from the homestead exemption. So it is the only thing that your county auditor's office can do to help people and give them the relief that they need by this state program. But unfortunately, it's not doing what it was once doing back in 2007 and 8. So 10 years later, a little over 10 years now, because it has not been adjusted for inflation, the homestead exemption has significantly diminished its impact for our senior Ohioans. So here in this illustration, you're seeing a house whose value changed, but their average home value was $155,000 in 2014. So the average exemption that they got off of their property taxes was $565. Now, average home values in 2025 have increased 69.1%, and the exemption value for the homestead has only increased 7.4%. So as you can see, a little less than $60 doesn't really help folks when they've seen the kind of increase in property values as we've seen in this type of a market. So it has lost its luster. It is not doing what it once was doing for the people of Hamilton County, and so I would love it if you all could add that to your platform to lobby your state reps and state senators to do something about this. So homestead exemption, why is it important? You all know all of these, so I won't read these word for word to you, but our elderly Ohioans are very, very important pillars of our communities. They are the ones that are hurting the most from the increases of property sales and values. So they are therefore the ones that we should be finding solutions for yesterday. And that is why the homestead exemption is so important. So please contact your state representative and your state senator. Contact State House and State Senate leadership. And you can, of course, find who those elected officials are on the Secretary of State's website. Or, since I used to work with all of them, I can point you in the right direction as well. But we need to keep this lobbying of this specific program alive, because it literally is the easiest thing the state lawmakers could do to provide us some relief, especially now that they haven't initiated the third phase of fair school funding. So we need to make sure that they do this. Okay, the second program as identified by the state law, that we are required to administer the owner occupancy credit. So there is another credit you can get if you are not a senior citizen or an elderly Ohioan and under the age of 65. It is called the owner occupancy credit. This means that if you own and live in your home, it is your permanent place of residence, you do get a small owner occupancy credit for that through the state of Ohio. So it comes through as a credit on your property tax bill.
It's not something you have to apply for, it's automatically given, correct?
It should be automatically given, but on our property search function on our website, you can look up any property in the county, and it will say there on that first page, yes or no, if they're getting it. If you find that yours says no, and you feel like you need to get that credit, please contact our office as soon as possible. You can get any property in the county fixed if it is not reflected correctly.
Did you say how much that credit is?
It ends up being a couple $100 based on the value
Is it
of
like
your
a
home.
percentage or?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so it's not, again, it's not huge, but at least it's something that the state is allowing us to do.
And then my last question, when you're reading that online, what will that line say?
It says owner occupancy, yes or no,
Okay,
under any property parcel in the county.
okay.
So make sure you check your own, and let us know if it's wrong. We pride ourselves on our records being very, very good, but if you find someone, don't hesitate to give us a call. And hopefully in your materials before you tonight, you not only have my card, but maybe Connor's card as well, and our brochure. And then, of course, here is all of our contact information for our office. I do want to point out that the reason why we put our social media handles on here is a very big reason, because this is the first time in county history that your Hamilton County Auditor's Office has had its own social media platform. So if you don't follow us already, please go and follow us or like our page on Facebook. It's important for us to stay connected in as many ways that we could possibly be connected to the community. And if someone's scrolling on Instagram and finds that, you know, the most useful or best way that they get their information, we want to make sure that we're there. You will notice we are not on X, formerly known as Twitter. We're staying off of that platform, but we are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And of course, here's our main email address, phone number, and our website where you can find all of this information I presented to you tonight and much, much more. I think it's safe to say that we are going on a county-wide auditor, if you will. I'm trying to get out to every municipality within our county to get this presentation out there and in the open. Because we
Good.
had a county auditor for so long that sometimes people forget what the county auditor is for, what we do, what we don't do, and how we serve the public. So please contact us anytime you need anything. We have a staff of about, is it 85 now? 90, almost 90 staff members in your county auditor's office who are the civil servants there to work and serve every one of you and every person here in our county.
All right.
We take pride in doing that and making sure that we get the information to where the people are. So, any questions?
Any questions? from
Yeah,
the-
sure. So the homestead exemption, is it up for review in the House or the Senate currently?
There has been a bill introduced for at least the last 4 years that I can recall, to take a stab at fixing it, making it better, increasing that income threshold. And unfortunately, no matter if it was a partisan bill or a bipartisan bill, it never went through the full committee process of what it deserves, in my humble opinion.
Do you know that number?
It's changed numbers over the last 4 years. There is
But-
one now.
Oh, you don't know the one that's
I
current?
don't. I know it's Dan Troy, State Rep Dan Troy from Lakewood, Ohio, who has sponsored it, but I don't know the number because they changed it in 2 years. But suffice it to say that we had, in our caucus alone, when I left the State House, over 14 bills that were introduced to do something, some way, shape, or form to provide property tax relief. None of them were heard and none of them were brought to the floor for a vote.
You know, the most, again, thank you so much for, this shedded a lot of light for us, I believe. But one of the things that I harped about on, and we just went through a school levy here in our school district, and as always, I I love the levies, I understand what they do, but my concern was always the seniors that live here in the village of Woodlawn, and this spelled it out today, being the affordability. Yes, we want great schools, but they have to make choices. It looks like they had to make some choices because they did not get the exemption that they used to get. So it's so unfortunate, and, so, wow, we got a lot of work to do in the state of Ohio,
we
as
do.
we always knew that, but.
And I did neglect to mention, Mr. Mayor, we put together for the first time in a long time, if not in the history of our county, our first ever Auditors Advocacy event, which was a bipartisan event. I had the Warren County Auditor and Montgomery County Auditor come down here and join me to present the CAAO's platform of what changes we need, right? The auditors, the County Auditors Association of Ohio. So there's 88 of us in the entire county. We have given hours upon hours of testimony at the state level. The auditors have spoken, the auditors know what to do. We know what is best for folks and what would give folks the most bang for their buck. And now we need the state lawmakers to listen.
Okay, all right. Well, again, I thank you. Any other questions for the auditor?
House Bill 103
House Bill 103.
for the homestead.
That's what I needed to know. And just, Jessica, for my own learning, how many women have been in your role before you?
Yes, thank you for asking.
I
me that.
really appreciate your unique perspective and your
Yeah.
changes that,
So let me start by saying Bridget Kelly was the first female ever
Correct.
elected to serve as the county auditor of
She
Hamilton
was.
County. And I was the first ever elected female appointed to serve as your Hamilton County auditor. So if I have the privilege of being elected in 2026, because I have to run again in 2026 by virtue of the timing of the appointment, I will then be running for a full 4-year auditor term. And if I complete that full 4 years, I would be the first female in Hamilton County history to be the auditor of Hamilton County.
right, well, nice.
And if you ever want to see that history, by the way, another fun fact on our website, you can click on, it's one of the side buttons on our website. It gives you the history of all of the Hamilton County auditors since inception of our county.
Okay, good stuff.
So,
All right.
fun
Thank you.
historical facts that we
Yes.
have loaded all over our
Right,
website for
right.
you to see.
Okay. Well, thanks
Thank
again
you.
for
Thank
coming.
you all.
Thank you, thank you. Before you leave, we got a couple assignments for you, Miss Miranda. We have an upcoming Canoes and Conversations that is coming up. We want you to be part of that. On August the 1st, we are having the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. Will be here in the village of Woodlawn. We would love for you to participate and come out for that. We have our concert series that are coming that are starting in June. I'm looking at, I'm a Parks and Recreation Director. We would love for you to come out and share with us. So you are always welcome here in the village of Woodlawn and come out and just have some great time. Some
Thank
great
you,
things are
thank you.
going
And
on.
Likewise, if you ever want
Yes.
to come downtown to visit the county
All
auditor's
right.
office, you
Sounds
come on
good.
down.
I appreciate you. Thanks
Thank
again for
Thank
coming.
you.
All right.
You too.
All right. All right. All right. Committee and commission reports. Committee of the Whole, March 13, 2025. Mr. Lawson?
Yeah, that was me. I'm gonna start with saying, hope everybody had a good weekend, holiday weekend with family and friends. My grandson got a hold of my glasses, and he did a number on them. And I just wanted to share that. I do have a backup here. These are my backups. But, okay, this is where we're gonna start at. Committee of the Whole, we did it May 13th, 2025. We called it to order. People in attendance were Mayor Poole, Esther Boyd, Cindy, Michelle wasn't here, and Rosemary was here. Clerk was here, and Tim was here. Okay, we first started off, we had 2 guest speakers. Becky for the murals, and we're getting murals that's coming to our village. And she had, hi Becky, she had some of the other communities. And I guess I won't go through all of these, But what she wanted from council was for us to come up with some kind of concept of what the murals would look like, and that's going to be interesting. So we'll get back later when we come up with a concept for her mural. So thank you, Becky. Appreciate you, Miss Becky. Okay, our second guest speaker was Stephen for the Legos, and he did an absolutely outstanding report. He was passionate as well. That's why my grandson has autism, and I remember asking him a question. What do you have for my grandson? I wish he would have had it yesterday. But hopefully everybody made the event. The event, wasn't it? It was kind of like cut for cost because he wanted all the kids from this general area to be able to actually attend.
Be part of it.
To be part of it. Okay, and then we have our department heads that came up next. And our first department head was Victoria for Public Works. And Victoria does a great report on her and her team, and it just goes through some of the things that she did. As far as cutting the ball fields, we got baseball games this week. I mean, just Public Works does an outstanding job at keeping beautiful Woodlawn beautiful, and that's her job, and I think she does just an outstanding job with Public Works.
She does.
Then next we went to another one of our favorite departments, is the police department with Chief. If you missed it, Chief gave us some coins. They were like little emblems of our coin. Chief, I left my coin at home.
Here it
but
is.
I do appreciate it.
They get to go.
And it was just to kind of symbolize
Front and back.
symbolize the camaraderie that they have for their department. I think Kevin is really doing a great job. We had two big things in his department. We had two people get, help me out, Kevin, crisis intervention added to the police.
Yes,
Right, so we definitely needed that.
certified in crisis intervention training.
So thank you for that. Okay, and then I'm gonna skip over, I'm gonna come back to recreation, but I'm gonna go to the fire department. And Amos, he has a good report too. You know, I keep everybody's report. I am a report keeper. Right here. So, you know, and it's kind of hard for each department head to come up here in front of this council. It's a slippery slope because they want their department to look good, and they also have to improve it. So if they come up here with all the good and none of the bad, then they go back to their department, they say, well, I thought you was gonna get that fire truck fixed. And some of the employees like, well, Well, anyway, we did have our, fire truck ladder fixed, right?
It was,
The ladder truck.
the ladder truck was fixed.
The ladder truck. And then we're working on transport too. My guy Tim is gonna go through more of the transporters, but we're having more transports going through Bethesda North and Bethesda of Butler. Man, I got a mess going here. Okay, but last but not least is another one of our favorite departments, that's the recreation department. We got so many events coming up with the recreation department. Brian stole some of the thunder, but we do have a lot of great events coming up. I was at the pool yesterday. The pool was beautiful. They just got it opened up. Not a lot of kids cause the weather was
It's cold.
kind of chilly.
It's cold.
But we do want our Woodlawn residents to come down and enjoy our beautiful pool. And then, like I said, baseball season started. We got the summer concert series. We got art classes. We got Wyoming volunteers. We popping here in Woodlawn. So if I left out anything, Tim, you can go ahead and
Pick
finish
it up.
up your report. He was the village manager. He's gonna be our village manager. And Brian, that's about all I got.
All right. Well, I like the enthusiasm in that report. I don't know about y'all, but I like that enthusiasm. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lawson.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Lawson?
Any questions?
All right. Having none, we're gonna go into finance. Ms. Chandler?
Unfortunately, numbers aren't as interesting as what Mr. Lawson just presented, so it's a hard story to follow. However, seriously, Finance Committee meeting met on May 19th at The meeting was called to order at 7:06. Myself and Michelle Starr were present with Ms. Fitzgerald being excused due to a prior engagement that night. Also present were our Finance Director, Lauren Crisp, Tim Engel, Mayor Poole, Esther Boyd, Rosemary Brown, Charles Willis, and Ashley Maiden. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because it would be redundant when Mr. Crisp comes up to give his finance report. But I do want to point out, Mr. Willis reported the following on income tax update, that the village collected $812,666 in taxes related to the month of April. Of that amount, $7,848 was deposited into the village treasury in April, and $804.18 was deposited in May. And I'm sure Mr. Crisp will go into detail of the distributions on the taxes that were collected. Again, like I said, Mr. Crisp will go into the finance update, and then we have some legislation that was discussed that will be on the floor tonight for vote for passage tonight. And that pretty much sums up, so I do want to go ahead and make a motion. Excuse me, I lost my thumbnail. I'd like to, do I make a motion now?
We usually do it with the finance director.
Okay, okay. So that pretty much concludes my finance report tonight, and again, Mr. Crisp, our finance director, will give a more detailed report.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mrs. Chandler and Finance Committee? Having none, Municipal Manager's report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to piggyback off of what Mr. Lawson said before. The pool was open yesterday and on Sunday. For those watching at home, I just want to remind them that pool memberships are free to village residents, so please do take advantage of that. Come and enjoy the pool. Just kind of going through the report that I provided to council. Juneteenth 2025, at this point, we're having a meeting every week regarding Juneteenth. It's always on Thursday. At our most recent meetings, we did a walkthrough of the Juneteenth grounds, got a good idea of where everything should be, where everything should sit. And we also finalized various road closures and other items pertaining to the event. We'll go ahead and send a postcard out to all the village residents regarding those closures and other event information. But we do want to note that on Friday, June 13th, Woodlawn Boulevard will be closed at Grove Road, Mayview Forest Drive, and just past the Mount Zion Baptist Church's driveway, and the boulevard will reopen on or before midnight on June 20th. So be any traffic on the boulevard pretty much the week of Juneteenth. And that's just for setup of the event as well as other pre-events going on related to Juneteenth. Redna Terrace and Chester Road work is just about finished. We have finished all of the electrical work, which was kind of hanging out at the end of the project, as well as done some painting on the road on Chester. There's going to be a final inspection, and then Duke Energy is to hook the electrical back up to the road itself with all the repairs that have been done. We expect Duke to hook the electric back up within the next 2 weeks, and we'll call that project completed. Lee Crest Road, again, we're kind of waiting on some utility coordination, but we've also paused some of our work as a new subdivision is being built on Lee Crest and Grove in Springfield Township. So it's quite a large subdivision. Part of that construction involves traffic studies and things of that nature that may impact what we do to our road and other streets here in the village. And then also, we don't really want to fix the road and then have folks from the township cut holes in it to run utilities and everything else. So we really don't want to fix it twice. So kind of working with those guys to kind of keep up on their timeline as well as move forward on our own. Hamilton County Revitalization Grant that we received in 2024 was for the purpose of constructing a parking lot on Taconic Terrace that will also accommodate food trucks. The surveyors have been deployed for that job. They've done their they've fulfilled their duties, and now the engineering drawings are in progress. The team ran into some issues, as the site does have some environmental and other complications. The original area that was suggested for the parking lot was apparently used as a fill site in the past and has some environmental restrictions noted. And if we dig more than 4 feet into the ground, there's some additional environmental work that'll be necessary. So plans are being amended to avoid going any further than 4 feet into the ground and try to accommodate a bit of a better area to build that site. So we're hoping within the next couple of weeks we'll have that figured out. We'll be able to get that job bid out, because I know the businesses are they're waiting with bated breath to get their parking lot. Springfield Township and, Springfield Pike and Greenridge improvements. The sidewalks are currently being built. They're being completed as we speak. You can see progress on those every week. It's a lot of fun to see those sidewalks coming in.
It is.
I think that's been a great change for the village. Wayne Avenue improvements, again, we're working on the final review of some utility coordination, specifically with Duke Gas. And then those improvements will be to the road itself on Wayne. It'll run from Glendale, Milford, up close to where Wayne Lofts is, a little bit past that. Sidewalks are not part of those improvements right now, but we will be circling back to see if we can add sidewalks as part of either SORTA or a Safe Routes to School grant. Again, we're very, we realize sidewalks are a priority in the village and want to keep that going. Glendale Milford Road sidewalk improvements. The drawings for that have been completed. We're working on some final utilities coordination, and we're actually working on getting a meeting with the owner of the Shell gas station to talk about some construction easements. We actually have solidified a meeting time with him tomorrow, so we're meeting with him and Verdantis to go over those plans and hopefully move those easements along so we can get that project bid out. Marion Road, I think we've noted that we have gotten some grant funding to do some improvements to Marion Road that will help with drainage. We'll continue to work towards those. Construction on that will begin in 2026. There's some other grant awards that we're working on Marion Road as well. So that'll be a great addition to our capital projects as we continue to move forward. There's been no new news on the gun range movement. That is to open in the spring of 2026. Neighborhood Allies, again, will join the village on June 13th, so they're here every second Friday of the month. So if you need some assistance, please come to the Recreation Center. They start at about 11 o'clock. They can help with things like state IDs, voter registration, as well as expunging records and a plethora of other services. Haven't had a whole lot of movement on the buildings and other issues. We have been meeting with Elevar to continue some talk about the village square. I know we're kind of waiting for some information for them, and that'll eventually be presented to council. The work on the pedestrian bridge involving the lights, they're finishing up some electrical work there. And then floodlights have been added to the Woodlawn swimming pool. Those are operating perfectly. We're really happy with those. I did note for council just various grants that we've been applying to this year. We are planning on applying to the Community Heart and Soul Grant, which will assist us with community engagement for an update of the master plan. There's a Safe Routes for All action plan, which will be a planning grant that will fund a traffic impact study, traffic signalization study, and a pedestrian circulation needs assessment. SORTA, we're actually working on a SORTA application to extend the sidewalks on Riddle Road. We've talked about that a little bit more with the engineers. The grant that we'll apply to, which is actually part of legislation tonight, will continue the sidewalks on Riddle Road from Roberta to Panola. That'll be the first phase. After that, we'll apply for funding to run them from Panola to Joliet, and then Joliet to Lee Crest, or as close to Lee Crest as we can get. It'll be about a 3-phase plan that we're going to work towards on Riddle. We're applying to an OKI pilot repaving program for Sheffield Road, and then we're also applying for MRF and OPWC funding to deal with some culvert repairs on Grove Road. And finally, we're working on an OKI Transportation Alternatives Grant And the goal, it'll be a big grant if we can get it, that'll actually construct sidewalks from the Timberland subdivision to Chester and then down Marion to Springfield Pike. So if we can get that one, we're gonna celebrate. But that, if we're successful in that, that will have actually connected both sides of the village together, which will be a wonderful thing. As we've kind of discussed, there are various events happening in the village. Our Village of Woodlawn Freedom 5K will be held on June 14th. That'll start at 10 o'clock a.m. That'll actually go through Glenwood Gardens. The Village of Woodlawn will celebrate Juneteenth on June 19th, so I hope everybody can come and join us for that celebration. On July 12th, the Village of Woodlawn will partner with the City of Wyoming to host the Woodlawn Wyoming West Fork paddling event. Mayor Poole mentioned that to Auditor Miranda, so hopefully she'll join us in some canoes on July the 12th. That event will see the Winton Woods Dam release some water into the West Fork of the Mill Creek, so we can actually paddle right here in Woodlawn, right about where the Princeton Grade School is, Woodlawn Elementary, all the way down to North Park in Wyoming. So that's a great event. We hope people can come out and join us for that. Did add this one this morning, July the 10th, in a little out of order. The Kroger mobile vaccination van will be in the Village Recreations parking lot. Now, you will need your insurance information to receive those vaccinations, but they will be on site to perform that. They did note there are no COVID vaccinations. They're currently in the process of updating those vaccines, so those will not be available, but other vaccines will, I believe, including shingles and things of that nature. And again, as Mayor noted, we'll be starting our concert series this year as well, which will culminate on August 1st with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. The Local Initiative Support Coalition is partnering with the NAACP Housing Committee, Legal Aid, CAA, Pro Seniors, and others to hold an outreach community event to connect homeowners with resources, including home repair programs, estate planning and property tax resources. The team will be at the Woodlawn Recreation Center on August 2nd from 9:30 to noon. And I believe I still have a note that Auditor Miranda will be here on August 11th at 6 p.m. To discuss property taxes and other items with our residents and neighbors here in the chamber. So we'll double check and make sure that she's still doing that since she was here tonight. Other than that, I do have one final item to add. And as we had noted before, a couple of our officers had received crisis intervention training. Chief Williams was kind enough to announce in our department head meeting that our Woodlawn Police Department was honored by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and honored us with an award for the Crisis Intervention Team of the Year. So that is big news here in the village of Woodlawn. That's great. I don't think there's a better note to end on than that. Questions?
All right.
Tim, have we placed priority on road improvements with regarding safety versus first in line?
So with road improvements, yes. So basically it's the quality of the road as well as the amount of traffic that comes across the road. A lot of the road improvements where you see us receiving grants, that deals with the density that's on that street. So, for instance, the sidewalks on Springfield Pike through Sora, there's a lot of traffic on Springfield Pike. That's obviously a safety issue to get to the bus stops. Same thing where we're applying, and I guess I'm thinking specifically of sidewalks from Timberland down through Marion. Again, you've got to cross Chester Road. There's a lot of traffic there. Trying to get people, any resident or anybody else, the ability to walk to the bus stop or walk to the elementary school. Those are all great concerns to us. The Riddle Road improvements, when we look at those sidewalks, if you kind of look at how Riddle Road is put together, there's a large group of houses that run off of Panola, Roberta, and all that. I think they still call it the subdivision.
Yes.
That's where some of our higher densities are in the village.
Yes.
So again, just trying to connect the community safely so they can get to the main roads.
Mayor, I have to follow up. As a follow-up to Ms. Starr's question, and I'll send you an email, certainly you don't have to answer tonight. Do we have an updated list on streets on how they're graded and which order they'll be repaired?
I do have a list from that from CT Consultants that was performed a few years ago. I
Right.
can talk to the engineers about updating that plan. I know we had talked specifically about a couple that seem to have gotten a lot worse over the last few years.
Okay.
So that will probably be one of the items we work towards updating and putting out.
Yeah, I know a couple of residents have stopped me, and I just didn't email you. So
Sure.
we can follow up through email. That'll be
Absolutely.
fine. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Tim in his report tonight? All right, clerk, I believe Ms. Myers and Judy have, okay. Judy? And Becky? All
Let me
right,
introduce to you Judy Carter, who is the Wyoming Art Show's project manager.
all right.
So she's the person who brings murals and sculptures and all kinds of things to the different communities we interact with.
Okay,
Just briefly, I want to tell you that we've talked to Mr. Engel, and he has started doing the wording for the passage or the moving through the law committee of our request for the mural, and that is continuing to happen. We have met with the artist, and she does believe she's starting on September 1st. She would love to start sooner if we can make that process move more quickly. So please, if there's anything you can do to expedite that process, please let us know. Also, Judy would just like to tell you a little bit about, she's the person that interacts directly with the artist. I did take all of the things that you told me about at our last meeting and took that back to the artist. She has taken that into effect. You will be happy to know that Harmony Park will be a major portion of the mural. And you will see a person, a young child, playing at the xylophone, or whatever that is, in Harmony Park as part of it. You will also see, and I need you to hear this now, we spoke to the people that own the building, and it's going to say, "Love lives here." And I know that you had hoped it would say, "Love lives in Woodlawn." But their point was, love lives in Woodlawn, Wyoming, Loveland, and Lockland, and Lincoln Heights, all of 45215 and Evendale. So we are appreciative of what they had to say since they own the building, and we're going to leave it with "Love lives here." But your Harmony Park sign will probably have Woodlawn on it.
I was gonna say, ask, does that concept come from, I know that they have the T-shirts that were like that?
Yes.
Love lives here?
And
Yes.
Well,
signs.
45215, so did that concept come from?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And Judy, you have the floor.
There was another.
Thank you. Village of Beautiful Woodlawn, I see the trees, so that's one of the images that we really talked to the artist, and I don't know if Becky told you about it, Nisa, but she works for Artworks. She has a wonderful background in design and art, and we're very excited to work with her. She's young, but she's energetic, and that's what we need in this day and age. But the image itself and the vision that we want to portray is family, children playing, nature. We're focusing on Harmony Park as well as Glenwood Gardens. I think when people drive by, we just want people to see that love lives here. It's a beautiful vision, that they smile. You know, it's a very well-trafficked area, and that's why for 2 years I have been talking to Brendan Jeff Blunt about that particular site. I didn't really know it was in the village of Woodlawn, and that's why I guess we're here. Because it's the demarcation line, that particular,
Building.
that location. When we worked with the city of Wyoming, obviously, the walls that we selected, we knew that was within the city, and so initially I thought it was Wyoming. But, you know, welcoming, now I've learned more about Woodlawn, and I'm looking forward to working with you. I think this is one of many murals that we hope to bring not only to Woodlawn, but to neighboring communities, as we initially talked about. So our vision is of bringing art to many, many organizations.
You have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for all the time that you have put into creating and working with the artists for the mural. And so you touched on my question. You didn't know it was in Wyoming, so I'm just trying to get an understanding of where did the artist get her inspiration from when some people that are involved in this mural didn't know it was from Woodlawn?
Oh,
So are
she
we
knew before
getting?
then. I'm sorry, she knew before then. Judy knew as soon as we approached our Mayor Poole, that it was in our Woodlawn.
Yeah, I guess I was saying 2 years ago when I.
So, but again, it, just where did the inspiration come from? And that's fine whenever you all met with our mayor or administrative team. Where's the inspiration coming from? Where's the artist getting her inspiration from? Is it driven from talking to residents in the village of Woodlawn, or is it just?
What I have talked to people. What I did do is I gave her the gift of Monopoly board to learn about the village itself. I shared with her, just information about pictures of Harmony Park. I shared with her pictures of Glenwood Gardens. In itself, when you look at many murals throughout the
And it's
city,
a trend, I agree.
sometimes it may be specific to an area, or maybe it's just an image of art that people are driving by and they see it and it makes them smile. And so in a sense, when I gave her that gift, I wanted the artist, to come up with some ideas. What I depicted, and I told her, I said, if you drive around, you see the image, Village of Beautiful Woodlawn, it's a tree. So you see that it has nature. And then I think she took the next step. We talked about family. And then she came up with various different images. But again, I started out with the Monopoly board, because then she got a little history about the village itself. And I thought that was helpful. But, like I said, she's done multiple murals. She works for Artworks. And I think you'll be really proud of what she's going to do for that particular image.
Michelle, did you have a question?
I was just going to make a comment. Express to the artist that we really appreciate her openness and acceptance of our feedback. Because I've learned in the past, I think when it comes to art and murals, that sometimes we on council don't have that much leeway or authority to give the artist. But I'm so happy, and many of us are appreciative of her accepting our feedback. So tell her,
I'll
please,
let her
thank
know
you.
that. And that's how we started with the city of Wyoming. I had to present just the concept of the murals itself. He had never done a mural. And so we had to talk about why we wanted the mural, and then we had to have images, and then we started out with the first mural, and they liked it. We did our second mural. And then if you drive through the city, there's three by the art show, but there's multiple murals by other people as well.
Right.
So what's the rush with the September 1st?
Well, I know that there's a process here, but keep in mind for the artist, she told me she has to have a temperature of 65 degrees to paint, to let things cure, as you say.
They
So
have to
she,
cure.
if you start to say the fall, it gets, the weather can
They do.
be temperamental.
Summer's not exactly warm.
Right, and she also plans, and she's also working on a couple other murals, so she's just trying to plan a schedule. So I think September 1 was something we wanted to work with, if earlier, but I know it's a process here.
And then keep our time schedule that we talked about in our original meetings when we to start discussing this is Woodlawn in Wyoming would be completed in 2025, and in 2026, Lockland and Lincoln Heights would be completed. So, into her point that's in addition to what you were talking about in terms of the timing, the weather, and all of that, it's just that was the timing schedule that was originally
And
discussed.
that was for this particular.
Correct.
You are going to have an additional.
That is
mural,
correct.
Which will be completed in 26,
Correct.
provided we get the money.
How long does it take to do the mural?
She told us about a week.
About a week.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, did I understand you to say you get the second mural, providing we get, you get the funding?
Providing the Wyoming Art Show.
Gets the
Gets our funding.
Oh,
You know, we're working very hard at it. We had an unbelievable year of fundraising this year, but as you all have said, there's always need for more money.
But our goal is to partner with us here in the village to
Right.
make that happen. And
Right.
so we're looking
Yeah,
at different ways
And we
to
have
make
funding,
that
obviously,
happen.
for this current mural.
Correct.
With Brett Jeff and
Correct.
Just
Yes.
one more follow-up question. I thought there was another entity working with the art show that originally came up with the concept to do the mural. There was another.
Wyoming Community in Action works with us, and they are still working with us
Okay.
on
Correct.
Zone 15.
That is
They are
what-
not putting in any funding.
Okay.
What
That
they
is
gave
correct.
us was their inspiration and
Yes.
their thoughts about how to work with it.
That's Ms. Blue, her
Okay.
group,
And then we want to move on.
yes, yes.
So please,
That was Ms.
I'm
Blue
saying
and
as
her
much
group.
as I
Oh,
can.
I know, I'm clear on that, but lately I haven't heard that group being mentioned, and you said that their inspiration guided to where we are today. I just haven't heard anybody ask what council or the administrative team's inspiration is, so, but it's fine, I'm good.
Let me real quickly say, Wyoming Community in Action and Wyoming Art Show, I personally initiated the meeting between the two groups. We met with the mayors, the four mayors, we talked about the project.
It's
and-
not a negative.
No, and then we came up with our guidelines. They have different things that they like to pursue in a different way. They're still working with us, we're still going to them for input, but this isn't their priority.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right.
And no, I'm just,
Any other-
I ask questions, the more we work together, you'll understand that, and I think my team understands. When I ask questions, it's not always a negative. I ask for understanding.
We appreciate that, and we
Thank
appreciate
you.
Wyoming Community in Action. It's just, they have different priorities right now, and they told us that, and, this is what we want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Thank you, Becky and Judy. I
Thanks,
thank you
Ms.
so
Becky.
much for coming tonight. All right.
God, there's a woman
Front-
back there waving.
Is she on the, put on
She was waving her hand.
Monica, can you record her as, Lisa, you need to sign in, please, up here with the clerk. I didn't see her.
I know, that's why I.
How long is her name? How long is her name?
Now we have Miss Alisa
All right,
Leslie.
okay.
Miss Lisa, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last.
Leslie,
Alisa Leslie.
Okay, hi.
Mayor Poole,
yes, ma'am?
councilwomen, councilman, and
Village manager.
village manager, and
Clerk of court.
clerk.
Council.
I come in regards to people blocking my driveway. I live on Waverly Avenue. And have been there all my life. I ain't tell you my age, but I graduated in '79.
Well, you just told me your age.
But, it's only two of us on that street. I don't know if everybody know who, well, my
Yes.
neighbor is.
I do.
Okay. Now, I had put two signs. I am allowed, no parking, don't block my driveway signs, right?
I
Is that a
believe,
code thing?
Yeah.
I talked to
I'm
the
talking
code
to
enforcer.
police officer because I don't know that.
Well, I told my, where's the police officer?
I'm talking to the police
That's
chief.
the
I'm
chief.
directing that to the chief.
Oh, chief, okay, yeah, I talked to somebody, but I talked to the code enforcer because that's what he's told me to do.
Okay.
And I called and talked to Mr. Williams.
Okay,
And, I have put signs on each side of my drive to where I need clearance. That is a small street, that's not a wide street. But they persist on, and I say, anywhere from the grandkids to people who don't live in the neighborhood or people visiting or blah, blah, blah. They come and park right in front of my driveway, and my mailbox is like right here on the side. And I tell them, will you please move your car? Will you please move your car? Over and over and over again. I have called the matriarch, Miss Rose Williams. And I feel, I don't want to call and bother her about her grandkids and this and that, and then, today she, and I did it yesterday because her own daughter did it. They know, I don't know if it's because it's me, I don't know, they mad because, y'all told them to clean up down there because it was a hot mess. I kept my mouth shut, I ain't say nothing. I ain't call nobody, tell nothing, but the code enforcer doing his job. They already mad about that.
so Lisa, can I ask you, when did this take place?
Oh, it's been
This
taking
been
place.
ongoing?
It's been taking place for a long time.
Okay, and so it sounds like that we've contacted code enforcer, which is the right spot to stop at. Have we had a sit down with code enforcer, village manager, police chief on what the strategy looks like? Because this should not continue to go on over and over. What can we do to prevent this from happening, from her being blocked in?
So we can certainly do that. I know the code enforcers have been pretty aggressive with Waverly in general.
Okay, yes.
They've cleaned it up quite a bit. I don't believe I was aware of your particular issue.
Okay,
But I'm sure Fred and Leroy are.
okay,
So they will be back in,
Tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Well, see,
So
I got,
okay.
Oh, today's.
Tomorrow.
Wednesday.
I
Tomorrow's
was-
Wednesday, back in tomorrow. So we'll be back in tomorrow.
Miss-
And so I can go ahead and speak with them, and we can see if we can get a meeting going. See what else we can do to help you out with that.
also, when they have, when y'all have, big, and I'm not complaining because I love the festivities.
Okay,
But I had to even, when you have these festivities, and I told Poor Force about it,
uh-huh,
people park all up and down
Waverly.
Waverly, Leslie, but I'm
Uh-huh.
on Waverly, so I
Gotcha.
deal with that.
Okay,
And, they, I had to tell some man, listen, you're gonna have to move your car.
okay.
And no. I said, what if I had to break it down. I said, what if I have an emergency and the ambulance come and they trying to take me out and they can't get out because y'all blocking my driveway? They might be able to get in, maybe. It's the way my driveway is made. I can't help it. It was built in the 50s.
I get you.
You know what I'm saying? That's the old part of Woodlawn.
Right. So what I like, again, I know this is ongoing. I know that the code enforcers, you mentioned it, that they're in the office tomorrow.
They are.
With a little urgency on that, can we sit down, the three of you, along with the police chief?
Sure.
And let's come up with a plan that's gonna work, and that's going to work in her benefit down there. No one should be, blocked in their driveway.
Nope.
And then she has already placed signs, and she has a right as a homeowner to place those, as long as they are not in the right-of-way, those can be placed in her yard. But again, I think the three of you guys need to sit down tomorrow, and then give Ms. Leslie, a follow-up after you meeting. The three of you, can you give her a 24-hour, respond to her within 24 hours, please?
Absolutely, we
Okay?
can do that.
All right,
And then in terms of the festivities, that's something we're addressing as part of the Juneteenth
Right.
planning. So
right,
there'll actually be a patrol car there
Right.
that's deterring that kind of parking
Okay.
on your
okay,
street.
Okay.
If you'd be so kind, just to give your information to Monica, we'll make sure we get back in contact with you.
okay,
Okay.
okay? And then they can
Appreciate
follow
it.
up with them,
I
with you,
appreciate
okay?
it. I try to be
No worries,
Christian. I try to be Christian.
yes,
Neighborly.
You
Yeah,
are Christian.
no worry.
Come in.
That's okay.
And
But
not take it into your.
sometime we got to,
I know.
speak up, all right?
Thank you.
All right, but I appreciate that,
I'm
Leslie.
sorry for that.
Lisa, I
We all
appreciate
are.
that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Make sure I jumped on me today.
Uh-oh.
You
Yes,
did good by coming here to express your
I had to,
concern.
I was like, I got to get here.
Yeah.
All right,
Glad you did.
all right.
Bye.
All right,
I sure
we got it,
appreciate-
thank you,
I
appreciate
appreciate
it,
it.
all right, thank you
Appreciate
so much.
Have a wonderful evening.
You have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Yeah, take care, thank you.
All right. Tim, thank you for that. Chief, thank you for that. And you guys will make sure that you get with code enforcement tomorrow, please. All right? Law Director's report, please.
You want to do the finance director?
Oh, I'm sorry, Finance Director's report.
We can skip to law if you want. Okay, finance, the income tax revenue, we took a dip in April. The net profit tax decreased significantly, but overall for the year, the income tax was still 3% higher than the same time last year. Budget to actual revenues and expenditures for all funds, we were 33% through the year. At the end of April, for all funds, the village had collected 28% of the budgeted revenue and collected 34% of the budgeted general fund revenue. We'd expended 17% of the budgeted expenditures for all funds, and we had expended 28% of the budgeted, general fund budgeted expenditures. Included in the packet tonight is a list of receipts and payments for your approval. The village collected 1.8 million in revenue in collections during April and dispersed 815,000 in the month of April. Fund balance report was included in the packet for the Finance Committee. The page reference numbers here are for the packet that the Finance Committee received. For overtime, the village spent $30,962 for overtime in the month of April. Police, fire, and public works accounted for 52%, 33%, and 11% of the overtime respectively through April 30th. Salary expense report, the village spent $1,878,000 on salaries and benefits to date in 2025. The percent increase in salary expense year to date over 2024 was 16%. Part of that was because of a significant pension payment to the pension plan in 2025 that was not made in April in 2024, just due to the timing of the required payments. For recreation, revenue under expenditure for the general fund was $130,793. Revenue over expenditures for the We Thrive grant was $8,384, and the pool levy was $52,353. 2023, due in part, well, mainly due to the income tax, the property tax distribution received by the pool levy. We did talk a little bit about the balance, excuse me, the significant balance in the We Thrive grant, and going back and reviewing that, excuse me, determined that the balance that carried forward is restricted by the original grant received in 2024. So the village transferred $10,000 into the We Thrive grant in 2025. So that $10,000 is really all that's available for kind of village program.
Okay,
Excuse me, village
I
program.
got you. Can you repeat that? Michelle's looking like,
Oh,
I
that-
don't quite, I got exactly what you said,
So
but
those numbers are significantly different.
well, there, as it decreased, we increased it, that number looked like we increased it.
Right.
There was a carryover.
Yeah,
But
the
it's
amount, the amount that carried forward is
Restricted.
to the grant request.
Correct.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
gotcha.
Right.
I just seen your face and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I see it.
No, we talked about that after the meeting. I don't want to get the impression that it's
Okay.
a big
Yes,
pile of cash.
yes.
I took my Christmas present away.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Bank reconciliation report. For your approval, in this packet is the April bank reconciliation. We discussed the contract with the Adjutant General or the National Guard, that's gonna come up in July for renewal, so we discussed the debt. Also, village spends approximately $200,000 on the recreation center yearly. Legislation tonight will be presented with an advance to the pool levy fund to carry it over because the expenses occur over the summer, and distribution, the final second half real estate distribution will occur in September and October. Also a transfer to the community development block grant for a receipt that was inadvertently posted in 2023 to the general fund. Then the community development block grant will repay in advance of $10,000 back to the general fund. We discussed some other the Lego event, stored in nature works grants, and those will be in the legislation.
Okay.
We discussed a tax budget that will we'll present that in June for approval. It's really not due till July, but we wanted to get ahead of the game this year.
Great.
That will be available for the committee of the whole to review before the June council meeting. Right?
Good.
Any other questions?
She said that piece will be taken care in June because the importance of it, council, is, as we know, we do not meet per our charter in July. So, I know that there's a lot of stuff that's in June, so there's some calls that may be coming out from either Tim or Lonnie that we need to make sure that we take care of because we're not in meeting in July per the charter, okay? So just want to put that out there, all right? Thanks, Lonnie. Ms. Cindy?
Yes. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve the receipt listing, payment listing, and bank reconciliation from finance for April 2025.
I'll second.
Was that your motion?
That was my motion.
Okay. Motion been moving properly, second, all ayes?
Aye.
Very well, thank you. All right, Law Director's report.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of items. As council might recall, earlier this year, the village passed a motion to object to the transfer of a liquor permit at the Ibiza site to a new operator. Additionally, the village objected formally to the renewal of the same liquor permit. I did receive a notification from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control that the owner, Boilo Promotions, voluntarily requested to cancel the permit, and that this also cancels the corresponding transfer of the permit. They said that they would keep our objections open in the event there was any attempt to reinstate that particular license, and we would have the opportunity to object and have a hearing if that were to come up. But for now, there's no hearing being scheduled based on the status of the permit. That does not mean that a new permit cannot be applied for. This just has to do with the existing liquor permit on the premises. And the only other thing is just for legislation tonight, Mr. Crisp already discussed the budget items for legislation. I just wanted to briefly cover, there are 3 ordinances that are going to amend our code of ordinances regarding the building code, the basic building code, and the fire code. The 2 building codes being, one is for residential 1, 2, and 3 family structures. The other is commercial structures and industrialized units. Those are the codes that we currently follow. In our code of ordinances, it typically references whichever version of the code was out at the time that the ordinance was passed. What this will do is it will automatically, these changes will automatically adopt whatever the most recent version of those items is at the time.
Okay.
We've already done that with the property maintenance code. That's already written that way in our code of ordinances. This will make these consistent with that and make sure we're always operating under the most recent updated versions of those codes. The other, there's 2 items here. One is to extend the term for our pool management services for an additional through 2028 and lock in the costs with our provider on those items.
Excuse me, Emily.
Yeah.
Has that always been the term, 3 years, or was it just 1 year?
No, we have done, we've done 1-year terms, we've had 1-year terms where we've had the ability to extend it on a year-to-year basis. I think this is the first time we've done an extension out 3 years.
I believe so,
recall.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question. I was gonna say, the reason is because of the dollar contract, right? The money, the cost of the contract?
Yes, they've agreed
Yeah.
to hold a certain price over the
Right.
course of those.
So to keep it the same
They
as
have.
what we're currently entering into?
Sure.
I
So
think, no, it goes up a little bit, but it's a set price.
it does. So we're currently at 148.7, and that fee was established in 2024, continued into 2025. In 2026, there would be a 3% increase. That would take us to 153.160. In 2027, there would be an additional 3%, take you to 157.750, no increase in 2028. So if you average that together, it averages out to about a 2% increase per year. And then if you look at the life of this particular contract from 2024 through 2028, it averages out to about 1.5% every year. I don't believe you're going to find a better deal than that. It just saves us the trouble of having to bid it out and all the rest of that kind of thing.
Right. Rosemary, you had a question?
So not being able to have the opportunity to see the contract, I'm assuming, and I'm pretty sure it was good with having a clause in there where we can cancel
Yes, so-
at any point in time
Yeah.
if something were to happen.
So our original contract stays in place, which we have the ability to cancel under our original contract. This addendum just extends it out for the same contract out further over more years.
And it's 3, and then
0.
no increase on the,
And 28.
So, because we would have to renew it in 28, right?
You would have the 2028 season, and then
Yes.
you'd go for a new one.
You would finish it out. So
Right.
2029, you would, if there was an increase, that would be,
Yeah, we would finish
Yeah.
out, but in 2028, we will renew it for 2029.
correct.
That's correct, yes.
Correct.
and it's still, everything else remains the same as far as the contract is concerned.
Correct.
It does.
And correct me, so when it was, how can I say this? There were a couple of people that bid on this scope of service that we put out for, in the RFP. There were
Yes.
2 vendors,
There's
right?
2 contractors, yes.
Okay.
Okay, we have an item here, we have an agreement with ODOT where there is a small section of Springfield Pike that ODOT would be responsible for, that the village goes ahead and does snow and ice removal for efficiencies purposes, and ODOT reimburses the village for those costs. This will extend that, that'll expire at the end of the state current fiscal year, which is June 30th, and it will extend it through the next biennium for the state's budget, a 2-year contract. And then there's a resolution that authorizes the agreement for the Builders Paradise event, the Lego event, to take place in 2026 at the community center.
Is that 26?
Should be 25.
I was just getting ready to say.
We have it as 26.
I think what I received said 26.
It should be this year.
Should be this year.
All right.
I didn't know that.
Do we regard how many people or companies vet us for approval to give a free event? Do we control that number of people? For example, we just had a 3-day Adam Con event free of charge. We are now doing a 3-day Lego event free of charge. Are we monitoring, controlling the cost-benefit analysis of how many people are coming to us for free events?
And that was brought up at one of the previous meetings. I don't think it was full council, it was Cal. It wasn't stated like that. I brought the question up. What controls do we have over that?
Because if we get a plethora of people, coming to us for free events, it's costing us because we're staffing with, there's first responders, we're staffing with the facility, we're, our
Safety
equipment,
services.
yeah, our, lights. So there is a cost to us. Are we controlling the amount of approvals?
So the control is council control, right? So at the end of the day, I can't just authorize a free event. That'll have to come before council. In terms of, the cost of that event, if I'm looking specifically at, Adam Con or this one, the first responder cost really isn't there. We don't have police and fire at that event
I just read it in the contract. It was listed in a contract to provide.
Yeah, that will provide it, but they're in the village already, right? The cost of the facility itself, you're gonna pay the guard regardless. The, really the biggest cost to the village in my mind would be the recreation folks that need to be there on the site. And for these specific events, that would probably be the majority of it. But again, that's, the question becomes what's the benefit to the council, or the benefit to the village is that event bringing people into the village that either spend money somewhere else in the village, or is that paying the village in a certain light that makes this a place that other people would want to move to, do business in, rent the recreation center out at a regular rate for something else. And that's the question that needs to be answered. For Adam Con and specifically this one, I don't currently have that answer. I know that the Adam Con event did bring a martial arts event to us, and get those numbers from Paula.
Oh,
But
is
this
that
one,
what
this
that
one is
is?
yet to be seen. I'm not sure what this will bring. Yeah, so this,
No,
and
it
really
was not.
both of these,
No, that was a straight
Yeah.
out rental.
No, it's
and
not.
both of these were to, benefit a couple of different charities, so.
Right.
There again, that benefits the charity, which is great. But in terms of the control itself over who we give these contracts to, that's
It's on us.
really council's control.
That's correct.
If I'm not mistaken, may I?
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, I know some years ago, there was legislation that was put in place regarding how we were to look at granting opportunities for people to come into the recreation center. free. So if you guys could look that piece of recreation legislation up. I believe I mentioned that to you once before, Tim, and
It did.
when you were in the finance department,
Okay.
and if I'm not mistaken, you may have put it in a book or that you had in your office or something, another. But if Monica can look that up,
Year was
if
that?
girl,
I want to say,
Because since I've been here.
I know it was before you.
Yeah,
It was prior to you.
yeah, it had to been, I remember that. And I want to say between around 1920.
Something like that.
1900?
2019 or
Oh,
2020.
good. You know what?
2019.
That's okay.
It was after.
With the way you guys
I
kept
know.
saying, like, it's way back when, I'm like, wait.
It was after.
I see it
2012.
I will just make one, I do see these a little bit, I remember what you're talking about. I do see this as being a little bit different because this is more, the way these contracts are structured, they're more like a partnership. Because the village, it is not actually a free event. The village does collect proceeds from those events, although it's just not a flat fee like we would normally
what you're talking
do,
about.
so.
Okay, so then should we look at that piece of legislation and possibly do an addendum to it, or
I think
broaden
for
it,
these
maybe?
bigger events, you want to have a very, I don't know that you want a set of guidelines on it. I think you want council to examine each one and kind of make a determination, is this type of event, how many people is it going to draw into the community? Like, how is it going to benefit Woodlawn? Is it the type of thing that the village wants? I think you want a council discussion on that rather
Right.
than if you meet all these standards, you automatically get
Yeah,
to do it.
correct.
Guidelines and what
Yeah.
standards and guidelines we set.
Right.
And I've been saying that.
But nonetheless, we should look at that
We,
legislation.
yeah, we should
Uh-huh.
certainly
And-
pull it out.
Yeah.
I think,
and
my
do-
recollection, there was a lot for like repasts and like those types of
Right.
things.
And do some type of review on it to see if it needs to be updated.
Yep, agreed.
Not necessarily for these types of events,
Sure.
but updated, period.
Wow.
But it's
Thank
not a
you.
one for all.
Right.
It's a,
Huh?
Right.
I said it's not a one for all. It's
Yeah.
kind of based on each
Yeah.
person. That's how Emily is
Okay.
explaining.
I got that.
Okay, so I will revise that 2025, instead of 2026.
Yes, please.
that.
Thank you, Emily.
And then there are two resolutions authorizing the manager to apply for grant funds, one from SORTA, one from NatureWorks. And then finally, a resolution to approve the final Hamilton County 911 plan. That's something we're required to do.
We're required to
under
do
state
that,
law.
yes. Okay,
So that's the legislation for tonight.
all right. Any questions for Emily in her report? All right, a couple things I just want to mention. I know in our newsletter, it talked about getting your pool pass. If you have not done that, please do that. Was at graduation yesterday. My nephew graduated, so I wasn't able to get to the opening day. I know the weather was not on our side for sure, but make sure you do that. We are still in needing of volunteers for Juneteenth, so if you feel apt to give us some time on that day, please reach out to either Recreation here at the Administration Building, and we can direct you to where you need to in terms of volunteers, but we're always looking for more volunteers for Juneteenth. As we know, school was out last day of Princeton City Schools, this was last Friday, so we got a lot of kids that are moving about in the village. Please watch your speed. They are out there. Although the school is closed, our traffic officer is throughout the village, and those same rules apply as if he was sitting at the school. So please be very conscious about our kids being out in the streets. Hopefully they're not playing in the streets, but they are out there, outside of their homes, and so we want to respect their safety out there as well. I don't have anything else. We can move right into, I do have, Vice Mayor, I need you to make a motion to approve. It's two of them in that report from April and May.
March and April.
March and April, thank you, March and April. All right, bear with me.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the mayor's court monthly statement, and I'll start with March in the amount of $40,691.91.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and properly second. All ayes? Very well. Vice Mayor?
Okay, and then I'd like to make a second motion for the approval of the mayor's court monthly statement for April 2025 in the amount of $40,432.06.
Very well.
I'll second that one as well.
All
Another
right.
great month.
Motion been moved and properly second. All ayes? Very well. All right. We'll go into legislation.
First item is ordinance 07-2025, an ordinance to transfer $9,000 from the general fund to the CDBG grant, Hamilton County Fund 2052.
I need a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 07-2025.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 07-2025.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved, properly second. Roll call on the suspension, please.
Esther Boyd. Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Emma Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson. Michelle Starr.
Aye.
I need a motion for passage of ordinance number 07-2025.
I'll make a motion for passage for 07-2025.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Emma Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Next item is ordinance 08-2025, an ordinance to advance up to $60,000 from the general fund to the 2025 pool levy fund.
I need a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 08-2025.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 08-2025.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the suspension, please.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
I need a motion for passage of ordinance number 08-2025.
I'll make a motion for passage of ordinance number 08-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved, properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Very well.
Next item is ordinance 09-2025, an ordinance amending chapter 1420, Hamilton County, Ohio Building Code, and declaring an emergency.
I need a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 09-2025.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 09-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the suspension, please.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
I need a motion for passage of ordinance number 09-2025.
I'll make a motion for passage of ordinance number 09-2025.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
I need a motion declaring an emergency to ordinance number 09-2025.
I'll make a motion to declare an emergency for ordinance number 09-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved, properly second. Roll call on the emergency, please.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Next item is ordinance 10-2025, an ordinance amending chapter 1422, Ohio Basic Building Code, and declaring an emergency.
I need a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 10-2025.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules of ordinance number 10-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the suspension, please.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
I need a motion for passage of ordinance number 10-2025.
I'll make a motion for passage, of ordinance number 10-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Very well. I need a motion declaring an emergency to ordinance number 10, 2025.
I'll make a motion to declare an emergency for ordinance number 10-2025.
I'll second. Go ahead, Ms. Fitzgerald.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the emergency, please.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Next item is ordinance 11-2025, an ordinance amending chapter 1610, adoption of fire code and declaring an emergency.
I need a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 11, 2025.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance number 11-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the suspension, please.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I need a motion for passage of ordinance number 11, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage of ordinance number 11-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
I need a motion declaring an emergency to ordinance number 11, 2025.
I'll make a motion declaring an emergency for ordinance number 11-2025.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been moved, properly second. Roll call on the emergency, please.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
The next item is Resolution 12-2025, a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to execute an addendum to the agreement with Swim Safe Pool Management for swimming pool management services.
I need a motion for passage of resolution number 12, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage, resolution number 12, 2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye.
Cindy Chandler.
No, I'd like to look at other options.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Because it doesn't start until 2026.
It passed.
It passed.
Yes. The next item is Resolution 13-2025, a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to execute a first renewal and first amendment to the agreement between the State of Ohio Department of Transportation and the Village of Woodlawn, Ohio for the removal and control of snow and ice.
I need a motion for passage of resolution number 13, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage of resolution number 13-2025.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Next item is Resolution Number 14-2025, a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to enter into a temporary license agreement with Easley Blessed Foundation, doing business as Easley Blessed Inspire for a special event.
I need a motion for passage for resolution number 14, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage for resolution 14, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Rosemary Brown.
Aye, and the correction will be made for 25, right?
Yes.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Esther Boyd.
Aye.
Next item is Resolution 15, 2025, a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Metro Transit Infrastructure Fund programs and to execute contracts as required.
I need a motion for passage of resolution number 15, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage of resolution number 15-2025.
I'll second.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Excuse me, aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Lester Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown.
Next item is Resolution 16, 2025, a resolution authorizing the municipal manager to prepare and submit an application to participate in the NatureWorks grant program and to execute contracts as required.
I need a motion for passage of resolution number 16, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage for resolution number 16, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Lester Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
The last item is Resolution Number 17, 2025, a resolution to approve the final Hamilton County 911 plan pursuant to Chapter 128 of the Ohio Revised Code.
I need a motion for passage of resolution number 17, 2025.
I'll make a motion for passage of resolution number 17-2025.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and properly second. Roll call on the passage, please.
Michelle Starr.
Aye.
Lester Boyd.
Aye.
Rosemary Brown. Cindy Chandler.
Aye.
Pamela Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Robert Lawson.
Aye.
All right. All right, is there any new business that comes before this council? All right, having none, I need a motion for adjournment.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion been moved and properly second. All ayes.
Aye.
Very well. Great meeting, team. Great meeting. Great meeting.